Welcome, everybody, to The Drop, presented by Discover. The Drop is at the Ohio Stadium. Woo! One of the most spectacular scenes for a hockey game I've ever seen. The flybys, the pyrotechnics, the 90,000 strong inside the horseshoe to witness the most beautiful game on earth. The fans brought it, the players brought it, the goalies were wearing the toques, as is customary for the outdoor game, and it was a competitive one, Wish. We had two teams in wild card spots fighting it out for valuable points.
It was one of the best outdoor games I've ever seen insofar as drama, insofar as stakes, insofar as surprises. Look at this goal by Justin Danforth to win this game for the CBJ. And you know what, honestly, don't you just love when the home team wins these games? Like, everybody, 94,000 people outside of the, Red Wings fans that were here, go home happy, having left Ohio Stadium watching the CBJ win.
We root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. Greg Wyshynski, Arda Ocal, thank you for watching The Drop on the NHL on ESPN YouTube, the ESPN app, and ESPN Facebook. As you can see, the fans have filed out after watching a very fun hockey game in a spectacular environment. And why don't we start there? Because this environment, quite honestly, you've been to a lot of games, you've covered a lot of outdoor games, you have seen a lot of spectacles covering hockey. This has to be high above the list.
I give it a 9 out of 10, and I'll tell you why it's only a 9 out of 10. We were very close to 10 out of 10. This place was nuts. It was loud. It captured the collegiate atmosphere of a Buckeyes home football game. What I was surprised by, Arda, is that there weren't more Red Wings fans here. Weren't you a little surprised by that? It was not the split crowd that I assumed it would be in a Michigan versus Ohio matchup. And that might be the only thing missing tonight, was to have a truly split crowd, that collegiate atmosphere. Otherwise, the volume, the passion, the tributes to Johnny Hockey that we saw tonight from this crowd, all of it added up to being one of the best atmospheres that we've had.
So you're deducting 1 point.
Yes.
Just because a bunch of people from Michigan didn't buy tickets and make the drive?
First of all, there's more than a few Red Wings fans in Ohio, okay? This is an original six team. They claim a large territory. I just like it when there's more back and forth between the fans. Listen, I've said this for a long time. The outdoor games in the NHL have become less of a let's all, make time in our worlds to watch it type thing than a gathering of the tribes and the cities that they're in. And I think there was no better example than this. Columbus is a hockey town on the rise. They are still looking for sustained success. They are still looking to produce a cup-challenging team. When that happens, you're going to see this market pop off like you've never seen a market pop off before. It's all there for the taking. And I think tonight is a great example of that. It was a moment for a bunch of Blue Jackets fans to all get together, look around, say, I am not alone in this. We are legion in this town. And it was a great celebration of where Columbus hockey is and where it's going to be going.
For that reason, I give it a 10, because I think Columbus showed up and showed out. And guess what? We were treated to an excellent hockey game that meant a lot to both teams. Let's go through the highlights. Detroit, Columbus, wild card 1, wild card 2. Very rare that you get a spectacle like this with so much on the line for both teams. The arrivals very meaningful. Johnny Gaudreau jerseys for the Red Wings throughout his career. Brutus was in fine form. The Ohio State band in excellent form. Dotting the I. Everything about the spectacle was on point. The Gaudreau family was here. Of course, the Blue Jackets showed up in the Meredith Gaudreau outfit. It was just very well done.
Oh, my God. It was all fantastic stuff. And then, obviously, as we get going with the scoring in the second period, 0-0 after 1, and then the CBJ strike.
Denton Matejchuk will score the first outdoor goal in Columbus Blue Jackets history.
Yeah, and here at JVR, James Van Riemsdyk with an assist on this play, his 8th outdoor game. That's a record. 7th point in an outdoor game. He is now tied with Jonathan Taves and Henrik Zetterberg for the most in NHL history.
And he is above Patrick Kane, who is second on the list with 7, of course, having played for the Chicago Blackhawks. He'll tally a couple of outdoor games, and he'll also tally some points. What a pass!
Kaner to the cat on the crease. Nice power play goal here for the Red Wings to tie this thing up.
So Alex DeBrincat will tie it up. Then it's the CBJ power play. Werenski.
Oh my God!
What passing!
Yeah, that's a Kent Johnson goal right there. Look at this pass right here from the wing in front. That is a kid with an extremely bright future for this team. One of those great young players that's eventually going to lead this team to cup contention.
Absolute beauty. Back and forth. There were two good passes on those two goals that you saw from Columbus and Detroit. 30 seconds later, Matthew Olivier.
I got to be honest, in the press box, we briefly thought that he pulled off the Michigan. Pulling off the Michigan against Detroit in a game at Ohio State would have been maybe the top 5 moments in NHL history. But alas, that might be asking a little bit too much from Olivier.
The cannon did fire for this goal, by the way.
It
the cannon
fire.
was in fine form. Into the third period we go, and the Red Wings pull within one. Who else? Showtime.
Yeah, great celebration here from Kaner. He had a throwback game, right? But this guy's been outdoors maybe like half his life in the NHL with how many times the Blackhawks were in these games. Very comfortable in these environments, and it shows. He had a great game tonight.
Between the legs of the defender, by the way, to beat Merzlikins. Now,
Yeah,
that's a goal. That's a goal scorer's goal.
Goal scorer's goal, as they say.
All right, off the face-off, we have 3 and change to go in the third. Detroit looking to tie, and they do!
Oh, the cat again! And this is, again, look at the celebration. This was such an important game for both these teams in the midst of a playoff race, and you felt it towards the end. Detroit poured it on in the third period to make this thing interesting, and really made it interesting with this goal.
But then, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they fight through. Justin Danforth, the rebound, scores!
That's like one of the sickest goals we've ever seen in an outdoor game. I'm sorry. Look at this individual effort from Danforth here. You know, first off, he's blowing past the D, gets his own rebound. Great goal to finish here. The player was onside. A little bit of controversy on how he got through the D, but that's okay. It's a goal.
It stood, as does Adam Fantilli's empty net goal. The cannon fires 5 times. Sweet Jackets, both sides of the coaching staff, as Columbus defeat the Detroit Red Wings and gain 2 valuable points. 68 for the Blue Jackets, as both teams remain in wild card positions, but now the Blue Jackets are in wild card 1.
They are in wild card 1, and they are breathing down the necks of the New Jersey Devils ahead of them right now in the Metro Division. Things are getting quite interesting in the Eastern Conference. When this game started, the Red Wings, of course, have missed the playoffs in 8 straight games, or 8 straight seasons, rather, had a 38.5% chance of making it. The Blue Jackets, who haven't made the playoffs in 4 straight seasons, had a 22.1% chance per Stathletes. That, of course, has changed pretty dramatically with this win tonight by the CBJ. Right there, look at them. I mean, they're within striking distance of the Carolina Hurricanes, aren't they?
They absolutely are. Only 4 points. So the Blue Jackets are at 68. The Red Wings, 66. That wild card picture could change every single day. That's how tight it will be for the remainder of the season. But then again, the Blue Jackets could absolutely leapfrog the Devils. They're only 2 points behind. And like you said, the Hurricanes, that Metro Division is anything but settled.
Yeah.
Now, this was a spectacular outdoor game. 9-10, forget about the number. It was awesome. The Shoe, terrific hosts. Columbus, coming out party. Everything about this night clicked, and it clicked well. Pretty much every market has now seen an outdoor game. We have 2 that are booked next season that are off the list at the moment. But what is the future of outdoor games in the NHL?
Let's cover what's coming up first. We've got the Rangers and the Panthers next season at Lone Deer Park. That's the Winter Classic. February 1st, we've got Boston Bruins at the Tampa Bay Lightning at Raymond James Stadium, home of the NFL's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After that, who knows? Obviously, we have heard for many years that the NHL wants to go to Penn State University. They want to go to Beaver Stadium. That is a process, though. There's a $7 million revitalization project, a $700 million revitalization project going on right now. So they probably won't be there until about 2028.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then the other one, like you mentioned, Arden, with the Panthers being in an outdoor game, the only team left is the Utah Hockey Club. The Coyotes famously were never in an outdoor game. Utah obviously hasn't been in an outdoor game either. So they will be looking to maybe get an outdoor game in the near future.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
That's going to happen. Ryan Smith
Yeah.
would love nothing more than some kind of showcase event in the state of Utah. It's going to happen sooner than later.
The question I have, though, Arda, so the NHL has started to go back to venues. We went back to Fenway. We went back to Wrigley Field. Here's one I want to go back to. 2014, I was at this game. It was one of my favorite outdoor games of all time. Let's go back to Dodger Stadium. Let's have another outdoor game at Dodger Stadium. And I'll tell you what, last time it was, I think, Dodgers and Ducks. Or rather, Kings and Ducks.
The Dodgers did great in that game.
Oh, thank you. Let's go Kings-Rangers at Dodger Stadium. What do you say to that? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
Love a 2014 rematch.
Yeah.
Love to see it. Here's the thing. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I was at MetLife. You were there, too. Okay?
Yeah, it was.
It was great. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
But in terms of how the stadium looks, I would love for it to be baseball stadiums, college football stadiums. I think that it just brings a different vibe.
Yeah.
The vibe at MetLife, it was a great crowd, but
Right.
this eclipses it. What we saw here at the Shoe, to me, eclipses the vibe of MetLife Stadium.
I think you do football stadiums, NFL stadiums for the sheer tonnage of people that you can get. But and my problem with baseball stadiums sometimes, if I'm being honest, is like, there's like 10 of them that all kind of look the same. like we have a bit of a cookie cutter thing in Major League Baseball that I'm not really thrilled with. But I'm with you. Like whenever you get a chance to go to a college football stadium like this, I mean, one of my favorite outdoor games was the Cotton Bowl, for example.
Amazing.
Between Dallas and Nashville, you got to do it. And obviously, I mean, again, the best part of the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry to me is the two biggest crowds that I've ever watched NHL games, one in Ann Arbor and one here in Columbus.
94,000 plus, the second largest NHL crowd in history. That now belongs to Columbus. What a coup for this great city. You're watching The Drop, presented by Discover. The Columbus Blue Jackets just defeated the Detroit Red Wings at home. And we have a lot of thoughts on what went right and maybe not so right. So that's why it's time for Let's Get to Winners and Losers, presented by Discover. A winner, I'll start, certainly the arrivals. It was very Goudreau family focused. Johnny Goudreau was in the hearts and minds of everyone in the arena, including the players. So this is the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah.
They wore jerseys throughout his career.
Honoring Johnny and Matthew Goudreau with these jerseys, the Team USA jerseys, the Boston College jerseys, and of course the CBJ, making the walk across the arena, from the arena to the stadium, wearing what is known as the Johnny Goudreau fit, the hoodie from the surf shop, the black hat with the stars on it. They've got black sweatpants. They got the Uggs on. I mean, just a beautiful sight. I got to be honest with you. I was there when Detroit got off the bus. I didn't know what to expect as far as their outfit goes. I hadn't heard anything about it. And when I first saw the first Boston College jersey, I'm like, oh man, like I get a little misty. I mean, it really hits you when the hockey community comes together like this.
Yes.
And the passing of Johnny and Matthew Goudreau obviously brought together the hockey community and like few things have.
Yeah.
To see those jerseys getting off the bus just was tremendous stuff from the Red Wings. I can't get them enough credit for it.
The crowd did a great job passing the number 13 flag around the arena.
Yeah.
And I'd like to give a special shout out to Meredith, who sat at this desk during the intermission and, you know, talked about everything with Mark Messier and PK Subban and Steve Levy.
Yeah.
Why don't you give us another winner or loser?
Well, loser for me, Ohio State hubris. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but the Columbus Blue Jackets wanted to wear Ohio State replica helmets for this game. They were denied. I heard Ohio State wasn't thrilled with this thing being called the Stadium Series. Weren't thrilled with that. But you gotta love the NHL getting back at it a little bit, making the entire field look like an Ohio State helmet.
I love it.
I love it. There's only one. I mean, that's a great way to get back a little bit of the Ohio State magic. Just make the entire field look like a helmet.
Well, they did a fantastic job. You know who else did a fantastic job as we get to another winner? Brutus, the Ohio State mascot. Brutus was all over the place and outdoors, even beat me in a breakaway. I had no chance. I probably need pads and a stick and a glove next time. But Brutus was doing this all day. Afternoon, evening, was hanging out with PK and the guys. Brutus was throwing snowballs into the crowd. I just want you to know, Brutus, that you did a fantastic job today and you kept the crowd alive in many parts.
You certainly did. Loser for me, You know, right now, as you can see, it's kind of calm. We're under heaters. It's basically like Tahiti here compared to what the rest of the day was in Columbus. It was freezing. It was like 20 degrees. The wind chill was nuts. Anytime you walked outside the stadium, it was like being in a wind tunnel. I give the most credit I could give to the fans that hung outside from very early in the day tailgating to coming inside to this arena, the stadium, 94,000 strong, to be on the in the elements here. I mean, listen, there are other games that have been colder. I think Minnesota was colder and others, but it was a nasty day out, man. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah, and that's why I have the heat packs that are still in my pocket so that I can warm my hands. Winner, Swole and 5-hole. What am I talking about? You know what else was happening in Columbus this weekend? The Arnold Bodybuilding Strong Person Convention. My flight here from New York was half hockey fans, half jacked to the gills bodybuilders. It was amazing. That is like looking in the mirror.
I am
looking in the mirror right there.
I mean, that was last year. I've clearly put on at least a pound since then, but you're looking good. Why am I so happy to be flexing? You look like you're acting like you've been here before, and I'm like, look what I have. I have traps.
You clearly only tan your body. Apparently.
Another winner, obviously, the real star of the ESPN effort covering this game today, Peter Herbstreit. Loves hockey. This dog is a celebrity unlike any. Look at this sweet pup, this good doggy, watching the game, watching the puck, taking in the action, his fur just gracefully blowing in the wind by the rink. I mean, everyone gets super excited by the dog of the day, and Peter Herbstreit is the dog of the day.
Winner, the Wing DeLorean. What am I talking about? Fans got creative, particularly this one Red Wings fan that I happened to find in line waiting to see the Stanley Cup. He's a Detroit Red Wings fan, and he has a Detroit Red Wings Mandalorian helmet. This is the way. I absolutely love to see it. Whoa, you can't show that! A Mandalorian never takes off his mask. Hey!
He's out.
No, we can't do that!
That's it. He is out. He is out of the
That's it. He's not a Mandalorian. We just outed him on national internet.
I can't believe this. He's out of the order.
Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, dude. Your Mandalorian card just got revoked.
And finally, loser, we're going to go off the Stadium Series for a second. Anyone without the #1 pick next season, because it looks like we have another generational prospect on our hands. Of course, he happens to be Canadian, Arda. Great. Check out this amazing assist from Gavin McKenna right here, a future star in the NHL. Look at this. Stop.
Oh, filth. Are you? Come on. Come on. He had how many people were on him?
Fantastic. Congratulations to the Chicago Blackhawks, who will probably draft him in 2026 by winning yet another lottery.
Oh, goodness me. Chicago Blackhawks in the news, by the way. We'll talk about that a little later.
We got a lot to talk
Seth
about that.
Jones. Middle of the game, massive trade. But speaking of fans, before the game, this guy right here, as if he wasn't embracing the cold weather enough, decided to post up outside with our intrepid producer, Justin Cloutier, who's the best, by the way, and you decided to find some fans that were attending the game and ask them a couple questions. Let's take a look.
Who's going to win the Stanley Cup this season?
We got to do it for Johnny. I'm calling it Blue Jackets.
Got to say the same. Blue Jackets all the way.
Let's go Jackets.
I actually think Edmonton's going to finally do it. I feel like this is McDavid's year.
Dallas Stars.
The Colorado Avalanche.
Chicago Blackhawks.
Detroit.
If they get in,
We're going to get in.
Dylan Larkin, he's going to lead us to the promised land.
I got to say the Blue Jackets. Because I got to say the Blue Jackets.
it doesn't sound like you're convinced it's going to be the Blue Jackets.
As long as it's not Florida.
This season, I think they're going to repeat it. Florida Panthers. The coach is lights out. They've been there before, and let's be real, Kachuk's the man.
Who's going to win the Stanley Cup this season?
Your Columbus Blue Jackets, baby. Let go! Bumping and grinding, Jackets. Let's go, Jackets!
I mean,
All right.
he makes a good point.
Why do you look like a spy that's never uncovered anything?
I kept the glasses on. I'm not quite sure why, but but I think it all worked out.
We're going to need sunglasses indoors to see the sheer brilliance of Alex Ovechkin climbing ever so quickly to match Wayne Gretzky's record. He got another goal today. He's at 884.
He is. Let's break it down for you. Okay, current goal pace. That's a 0.7 goals per game average. Ovechkin would need 16 games to pass Gretzky. So April 4th against the Chicago Blackhawks. If he goes by his career pace, 0.6 goals per game, he would need 19 games to pass Gretzky. That would be April 12th against your Columbus Blue Jackets. And if he has the average pace over his last 5 seasons, Arda, then it would be 20 games to pass, which would be against the Columbus Blue Jackets on April 13th, the third to last game of the season. So the important news here, obviously, is that based on all of these goals per game paces, he should break it this season.
That's awesome to hear. Here's the thing. I hear the projections. What I really would love to happen, it would almost be like the perfect end of this era, this chapter of NHL hockey. Look at that April 17th
I know.
against the Penguins. Just imagine, okay? Just imagine if Alex Ovechkin breaks the record in Pittsburgh, enemy territory, public enemy number 1, Alex Ovechkin in that city, but the first person to be waiting there to shake his hand in the opposing team is his generational rival, Sidney Crosby.
It would be a bow around the greatest NHL player rivalry, friendly, I think it's become in their old age, that we've had in this league. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why the NHL got hot over the last 15 to 25 years, and I think the Crosby-Ovechkin rivalry should be top of the list. That would be pretty dope to see him set the record against Pittsburgh.
Ovi's goal, will it be an empty net goal? Will it be a long review offside? What do you think?
So Spencer Carberry, the Washington Capitals coach, recently said that he doesn't believe Ovechkin wants to break the record with an empty net goal. I'm here to say, just break the damn record. You know what? You scored so many empty net goals in your career that all of a sudden you're going to get discerning. You're going to get picky. I think that Alex Ovechkin, I've always defended his empty netters because he's earned the right to be on the ice in a critical part of the game. There's nothing wrong with him breaking this record with an empty net goal. And by the way, an empty net goal means it will have sealed a Washington Capitals victory. And if nothing else, this goal record that Ovechkin's going to have will be a reminder at how dominant he's been for a dominant Capitals team that he took from being a moribund franchise trying to get away from the horribleness of the Yager era to being a standard bearer in this league. Clinching a Capitals victory, an empty net goal for Ovechkin, I see no problem with it. Just score.
I'm fine with however he scores. I just hope it's not a review. I hope that we don't have an offside review, a goaltender interference challenge. I just hope it's just a clean goal. That's
completely disagree with you. I think the funniest thing ever would be if you're in
because you like chaos.
If you're in the NHL war room and you have to decide whether or not Alex Ovechkin just broke Gretzky's record or not because somebody might be a millimeter offside on the play, that would be the funniest thing to happen, Arda.
To you.
To everyone.
To you.
For everyone.
To you. You would be howling. We would all be like, why?
Right. I am an agent of chaos. I completely admit, but that would be the funniest.
Speaking of chaos, we are days away from the trade deadline. And boy, oh boy, things are heating up. During this game, Seth Jones was traded. See you later. Pack your stuff. You're going to Florida.
I know.
You're leaving Chicago. And this is not a surprise in the sense that Seth Jones got traded. He was clearly unhappy playing for the Blackhawks. He said as much, reading between the lines. That wasn't pretty obvious. So, but what do you make of the fact that he ends up in Florida?
Well, first of all, I make up the fact that the Chicago Blackhawks complaint hotline for their players supposed to be lighting up. How many Blackhawks knew that just by publicly griping about how bad the team is, they could end up A, in Florida, B, on the defending Stanley Cup champions? Wow. Here's what I think. Very interesting trade for the Panthers. Okay, so the Blackhawks will retain $2.5 million on Seth Jones' salary through 2030. That's a huge win for the Panthers. They get his AAV on his cap hit down to $7 million. What does that mean for Aaron Ekblad going forward? The Panthers' number one defenseman is an unrestricted free agent. The trade reunites Jones with GM Bill Zito, who was in Columbus when Columbus acquired Jones from the Nashville Predators. I think he has a lot of faith in Seth Jones recapturing the magic and being a productive player with the Panthers in a way that he couldn't be with the Blackhawks. But again, the thing I keep coming back to, I mean, it went from I'm talking about to the Blackhawks about maybe trying to find me a trade because I don't like the direction of the team, to publicly griping about the direction of the team, to a few days later now being a member of the Florida Panthers. I got to hand it to Seth Jones, Arda. Like he
got it done.
He worked the system, man. He got it done. He found a way out of Chicago. And in Chicago's case, I mean, a conditional first-round pick. If the Panthers don't have a first-round pick in 2026, then it becomes a 2027 pick. That draft is, I mean, both those drafts would be pretty good. And then obviously Spencer Knight, the young goaltender for the Florida Panthers, going to the Chicago Blackhawks as well.
So Spencer Knight, a beloved figure among Florida Panthers fans. He was actually the last player to raise the Stanley Cup, and he got quite the ovation when he did so. Great story. Now he goes to the Chicago Blackhawks, still a young goaltender, and will have time to play with that team.
Exactly. I mean, you know, the Blackhawks were not necessarily dealing from a position of strength here. I think Jones's contract, despite the salary cap going up exponentially in the next 3 years, was still a bit high for the production that he's had in the last couple of seasons. So pulling a first and pulling Spencer Knight from that deal is all right by the Blackhawks, I think.
Why don't we talk about some of the players that we are circling in terms of who might possibly move? Can we just start with look at number one. Like, have we ever been in a situation, Wish, where the player was already traded and then a month later could possibly be traded again? This caliber?
Not necessarily, but then again, we haven't had a giant brainiac general manager like Eric Tulsky in Carolina who might, you know, pull the trigger on that deal if they can't extend Mikko Rantanen into a long-term contract. I happen to think they'll keep him. I think they acquired Mikko Rantanen not for, you know, a negotiating window, but because they think he could score a bunch of goals in the playoffs. But, you know, you look at that top 10 list, March 7th, next Friday is the trade deadline in the NHL. Brad Marchand went out with an injury today, so who knows what his status is going forward. Plus, the wind seems to be blowing a little bit for him staying in Boston. Elias Pettersson, I mean, I don't think Vancouver is necessarily going to trade him when his value is this low. And then you got a lot of rentals. I mean, Yanni Gourde, for example, from the Seattle Kraken, a lot of teams are going to be looking to add him to their bottom six forward group. And then, you know, one name on there that I find very interesting is Chris Kreider of the New York Rangers. Saw the Rangers make a trade today, too, trading away Ryan Lindgren to the Colorado Avalanche. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what the Rangers want to do here. I mean, they are within striking distance of the wild card. They're not out of this thing yet. You remember from the Jacob Trouba trade earlier this season that the Rangers do want to kind of remake their core a little bit. There's been talk about Kreider all season. Kreider was in that infamous memo, Arda, where GM Chris Drury said, we're open for business, and I'm going to put Trouba and Kreider's name in this memo. I think he could, I mean, he's not exactly the healthiest guy this season, but I do think he could certainly help a lot of contenders, and I wonder just in general what the Rangers are going to be up to in the next week.
Calvin DeHaan comes back to the Rangers in that trade, former New York Islander as well. Brock Nelson could be a name that
without
list
question
as well. Like this is going to be an intriguing trade deadline. I think that I mean, look, people are even hypothesizing about Sidney Crosby and Brad Marr, like, you know, the lifer players that might go and try and chase a cup. I just don't see it with Marchand or Crosby.
My theory on Crosby is that I think that he remains with the Pittsburgh Penguins until Yevgeny Malkin is no longer there. I can't imagine that he would ever want to just leave Malkin hanging and not have Sid there. I mean, you know, after that, who knows? There's always been speculation from Crosby world that he might end his career with the Montreal Canadiens. That's a team you often hear about. But for me, like, I feel like Sid wants to be a Pittsburgh lifer, just like Mario was, and it's just hard to conceive of it. I know one thing. I never really bought the idea that he's going to go and play in Colorado just to be with McKinnon. I never bought that idea.
He played with McKinnon. He already won something.
Yeah, but you know what? The only way that happens is if McKinnon moves to the wing. That's the only way to happen. Sidney Crosby's not going to take reduced minutes behind Nathan McKinnon as the #2 center on the Colorado Avalanche.
Let me say it again while you're not talking. He already played with McKinnon. They already won something recently.
I'm trying to ignore you. My therapist told me that Four Nations never happened. that it was just a bad dream last weekend that I had.
Yeah. Lifelong fans were created here tonight at the Shoe. Columbus victorious over Detroit. Thank you very much for watching us here on The Drop. Wish, Arda, there's PK hanging out with Brutus. They were having a time. Everyone was having a time. 90,000 plus, 94. Woo. We had some great goals. We had some fantastic moments.
Great-looking
jerseys.
Great-looking jerseys.
On that ice, too,
CPJ
yes.
should make that their primary. The color scheme here was awesome. Great night for hockey.
Thanks for watching The Drop, presented by Discover, everybody. We will see you next time.